Sugandham Pustivartanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam
You can see the Twin Towers. And I'm speaking about more than 20 years ago that I was there. And I looked to the Twin Towers and I saw them crumbling, destroyed, fire. I was so afraid. I felt it in every cell of my body. I made a movement like this, I can't believe it. It touched me enormous. In the evening I phoned to my soulmate and I said, what I've seen is awfully. I cannot understand with my mind. I feel very strong, it will happen. I don't know when, I don't know why, but it will happen. Then something strange happened, because Marijke was driving, she always drives, and it was about 3 o'clock French time, quarter before 9 o'clock in New York, about, if I remember it good. We were driving and I suddenly said, Marijke, can you change a little bit the wireless, the radio? Because I feel very, very strongly there is something happening with a very big impact. We heard the radio at the same moment, and we heard about the great attack on the Twin Towers. I learned a lot of things. I met a yogi who taught me the secrets of the Bhagavad Gita and gave me a manuscript. He had seen me in a dream before that I should come to India, and I visited also Tibetan monasteries because I feel a very strong relationship with the Tibetan people. I like them so much. Beautiful people. They are honest, open, non-violence, because you know the whole world is full of violence. The teacher said, you have to bring your message to the people. Go. For me it was the beginning for making steps to acting. Acting on a base from trying to be every day in what Gandhi calls ahimsa, non-violence. Because what I understand in my discovery in the secret lodges, like Skull and Bones, I read in the period from them the protocols. I read a lot about the hidden forces on the background behind the Council on Foreign Relations, the United Nations, the European Community, and then suddenly you understand the whole plate. You understand everything. And then you understand on a deeper level that the forces behind the scenes are more deeper than people are thinking. It's a struggle from real evil forces against the light.
So this is Bill Ryan here from Project Avalon, and I have the great privilege of being here with my friend Marcel Messing, and the date is the 13th of March 2010, and many of you watching this video now, Marcel will be an unfamiliar name, and without any further ado, Marcel, because this video is all about you, it's all about your work, it's all about your wisdom, your experience, your perception, and your message. And I invite you to say hello to thousands of people here. Tell us what it is that you'd like this opportunity to say to all the people who are waking up around the world right now.
I learned very young, when I was a young boy, that the world is not what I felt in my heart. I felt very strong a relationship between human beings, animals, trees, plants, the planet. And as a young boy, I looked to the stars. Sometimes I thought, what is that, the stars? Perhaps we are coming from the stars. It was very young in my soul that the planet is not everything. There is more between heaven and hell, like Shakespeare said, and we can see. So I made a lot of discoveries, and I had a strong feeling that every person I saw on the world was feeling like myself, was looking like myself, was hearing like myself. And then I discovered it was not so. So in that period, when you are a young boy, you are a little bit isolated, a little bit lonely. It's not for being a victim, but it is a sensibility in you. And one day I decided very strong, or the people around me is crazy, or I'm crazy. I decided that I'm not crazy. I don't like to say people around me is crazy. That's without respect. But I thought and I felt very strong, be what you are. Go the road you have to go. Don't do things which other people is longing from you. Be honest to yourself. Be honest to the living beings around you. So my journey started very, very young. I never lost a very strong feeling in myself that you are a spiritual being. Later, if you make studies, and I'm educated in a family with a lot of study, a lot of interesting things for knowing, but I realized very strong, the most important is not knowledge for your head, but knowledge for your heart. So when I walked into nature and I looked to the birds, I heard the whispering of the trees, and I saw the sky and the stars. I had very young, a very strong feeling, everything is one. We are one. After the time you are going to grow up and you made studies, later you are going to the university. It was allowed that I studied anthropology and philosophy and comparative religion. You realize that you take these studies for knowing more with your heart, for comprehending more who you are, what you are. Of course, I heard from evolution theory. And in my profession as an anthropologist, I'm educated also, for instance, with the theory of Charles Darwin. But I had such a lot of doubt. I read other books. Very young I made studies from Uspensky and Gurdjieff, Krishnamurti, Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, later Balsekar. I made studies from the Veda, the old wisdom of India, the Advaita Vedanta, the non-duality. I visited teachers in the Zen tradition, Buddhism. I made voyage to India, met a lot of very, very good people. So at the university I realized you are learning here things which are very interesting, but it doesn't touch my heart. And I stand still to the word university. You know, on the university you have a lot of faculties, a specialist. And I discovered that a specialist is someone who knows a lot of things from less. He's specialized. He has loosed oneness. So, in science, I discovered you cannot find the truth. There's even a sort of mind control, what you have to learn. For this moment, I discovered, for instance, that the theory of Darwin is plenty of lies. It's not allowed to say it at university, because you cannot take your degree if you say that. But later I decided I'm going to study Darwin, all the things which has appeared. I learned that human being is not a material body or a brain. We are totally conscious, really conscious. It was a very long journey for discovering that. And then suddenly, after some experience in your own life, which is sometimes difficult to speak about it, now our time is more open, you can speak about it, I realized what I felt as a little boy, that oneness is our base. It's the base of everything. We are one, and we are oneness. And then you look around you and you see a world in separation, struggle, war, hungry, earthquakes, seaquakes, a lot of power, people who are stealing a lot of things, some people who are so rich that you ask the question, you pose the question, how is it possible? Do you need all these things? I was in a conflict. And my search began. What is evil? From where it is coming? Because I had a strong struggle with that. I couldn't understand. And I thought, I want to know the root of evil. Why it does exist. Why it is. So I made studies from the background, from Nazism, fascism, communism, and I discovered a lot of things you cannot find in the well-known books in history. Things which are forbidden to speak about it. And I wrote about it. I wrote also about what can meaning the truth for you. What is the truth? Like Gandhi said, truth is God. And then you see that we are entangled in a network of lies. So, after my university, my studies in the university, I was a time teacher on the high school. I had the possibility to teach a lot of students, thousands of students, and I liked my profession. I gave teachings in anthropology, philosophy, comparative religion. We had beautiful dialogues, meetings, and we made a search together to what is truth. And I said to my students, I'm not interested in your end result after the examen. I'm only interested if you are going to be a good human being. That's the most important. After being teacher for 13 years, for thousands of students, they asked me to become scientist in a big library in Amsterdam. The library is named Bibliotheca Philosophica Hermetica. There you can find back all the old knowledge from alchemical tradition, which is coming from the Arabian world. You can find the information about the great mystics from the East and the West, like Meister Eckhart or Jacob Böhme, or from Sufism, Halai, Tabriz, Rumi. And I could immediately recognize it because as a young boy I made studies from all these religions, spirituality, because it was very strong in my heart. I would know what is the truth. So if I came in the library in Amsterdam, I had the possibility to make the studies about the ancient knowledge, which I had done years before. I was seeking, speaking with wise people, making voyages to several countries. And we met in India, even in the forest, some beautiful teachers, not well known, because often if you are not well known, you can be a very good teacher. It's simply. So we met someone in the forest. It was like an energy of love, an energy of light. He told me things, and I learned a lot of things. I met a yogi who taught me the secrets of the Bhagavad Gita and gave me a manuscript. He had seen me in a dream before that I should come to India and that we had a deep meeting. So, for instance, in that country, in my journey, in my discovery, I learned a lot of the treasures of India. And I visited also Tibetan monasteries because I feel a very strong relationship with the Tibetan people. I like them so much. Beautiful people. They are honest, open, non-violence, because you know the whole world is full of violence. Big problem in me, that you like to act with the opinion, never use violence. And then you see a lot of violence around you. And then I met Rinpoches, beautiful teachers, precious teachers, that's the name Rinpoche. And they taught us. They taught a lot of things which you can realize in your own consciousness. I talked with people who were tortured, and what they said touched my heart completely. That they could bring the torture to a higher level than their personality. That they do it for compassion for the whole world. So we could make some projects in India. We could build some buildings for helping the people. And on my journey there, I learned a lot of things. I learned what are mantras, what is Om Mani Padme Hum, that it is not only a word, but a vibration, a force. I learned what is Om, that it is also a force, and that you have to be in correspondence of the universe. If you want to speak about the Om, the word, you can find back also in the Gospel of John. In the beginning is the word. So that means a force of vibration which is bringing harmony, which is harmony, the base of the universe. So my journey was not only theory, it was also praxis. And if I came years later in the library in Amsterdam, then I was continuing the journey. Life gave me a lot of chances, a lot of possibilities. And I felt very strong, what I heard also in the forest in India. The teacher said, you have to bring your message to the people. Go. When we were in the plane, after leaving India, he died. And I realized very, very strong what he has sowed in my heart. Tell the people the truth and use stories for comprehending, for making it easier to understand. After 4 years being in the library in Amsterdam, something very strange happened. I had contact with a lot of people in Europe, also in the United States, and they asked me to go to New York for a Grail manuscript from Du Bois. My colleague and me, we went to New York, And after looking and seeing and studying the manuscript from the Grail, from Du Bourron, the Grail is a very important symbol in the Western culture, like you can see in Chrétien du Troyes, or in the history of Wolfgang von Eschenbach. And the third manuscript was Du Bourron, the Grail manuscript. After looking, after talking about the manuscript, I went to the Empire State Building. I don't like these things. I feel me very strong a stranger in the technological cities. It's not my world. I like the forests, the mountains, the trees. I speak a little bit the language of the birds. I speak with the animals. I feel a very strong contact with them. So if I am in a big city with high towers, I feel immediately that's not in the measure of human being. I prefer the oaks, the trees, the birds, the crying of the eagle, and the language of the deers. So I was high in the tower of Empire State Building, and I looked, and in the view you can see the Twin Towers. And I'm speaking about more than 20 years ago that I was there. And I looked to the Twin Towers, and I saw them crumbling, destroyed, fire. I was so afraid. I felt it in every cell of my body. I made a movement like this, I can't believe it. It touched me enormous. In the evening I phoned to my soulmate and I said, what I've seen is awfully. I cannot understand with my mind. I feel very strong, it will happen. I don't know when, I don't know why, but it will happen. After that, it went out of my system of conscience. And after the four and a half year working in the library, in the Gnostic tradition, where you can really understand the beautiful manuscript from the Divina Commedia from Dante, the original, the manuscript, with the designs of Botticelli, where you can make studies in the real Grail manuscripts. Even that famous writers came to our library, like Eco, for writing his book on the rose, because all the manuscripts are there. And suddenly I had a strong feeling, it's very bizarre, from also loneliness. You have everything around you, all the knowledge. Is that what you have to do? In that period I gave a lot of lessons, teaching, really for thousands of people. I made voyages to Poland, and some of my books are published. And I taught in Warsaw, in Gdansk, and other places. And we had wonderful meetings there. I went to other countries for talking about the essence of life. That we are here on this planet for doing what the Eastern people is saying, our Dharma, our inner duty. Every person on this earth is having a Dharma, a task. And if you forget this task, then it is a lost life. It's very pity then. So I felt very strong that what I taught was good. It was good. It was in the flow, it was in the stream. But that knowledge is having also a frontier. And after about 15 years teaching, I had a strong feeling I've now to go to a place in silence. Don't speak too much. Meditation, contemplation, walking, being in the forest. The mountains greetings with the namaste. Speaking with the serpents, they have also a language. Speaking with the eagle. It was a wonderful period. We lived about 11 years, Marijke, my soulmate, and me, in the mountains. But in my background was always the problem of evil. Every time it came back. In the mountains we made studies from the Bhagavad Gita. I had received a wonderful manuscript from a real yogi. Every day we started the day with a meditation, with a book from the history of spirituality, sometimes from the Avesta, the wisdom of Persia, or something from the Veda, the wisdom of India, sometimes from mysticism, Meister Eckhart, Sufism, Rumi, Halai, other important Sufi masters. And I realized that more and more all the things you studied came literally in consciousness. It was as if everything which was unconscious came to a level from knowing with the heart, because often we have the meaning that a book cannot help you. A book can help you, a good book, a spiritual book, but with a frontier. That is a time that you have to put down your books and then let it go. And it was in that period that I let it go more and more. Then I had some experience in the mountains which remembered to another experience I had when I lived in the Netherlands. That I one day looked to a little lake. I was sitting and I only looked to a flower on the lake. And suddenly I was disappeared. It's a very curious experience, and even if you talk about experience, you know now it's wrong, because you cannot talk about the experience. So what I am telling, in essence, is a lie. That I cannot use another way to tell something what was in the experience. Everything is love. Everything is light. Everything is perfect. And it takes 10 days in my physical body to ground the experience. Happily, I had not teachings in this period. I felt it very strong in my body. Even I felt so strong, if you want, and at the same time it's not you who says it, you can leave your body and you are away. But something kept me down in my body. My heart was beaming enormous. And I felt in the same situation, I don't need a medicine. It's not a question of health, it's an other phenomenal happening in your body. At that time, I wrote in 10 days the book Forest of Initiation. It's in the background of India that I've written it, and the person who plays a role in it, Jayana, it's something about my own life. It was the teacher in the forest who said, you have more to speak about your own experience so people can understand, because I didn't dare it, I didn't do it. In my experience it was something you keep it for you alone and for a little group of friends. So after some period I dared to speak about it. And when we were in the mountains, suddenly I got a deeper experience, but not positive. It was so anxious. You were thrown down in what you can call later the abyss. It's not having a fundament. It doesn't stop. And again, the beaming of the heart. And it was happening in the night, especially in the night. I stand up and I went to walk outside the forest for moving. And after that, it became a rest in my body. And there was the restoration of the contact with everything what is. In that 11 years that we lived in the mountains, we made little excursions with a little group of people. Normally 25 was the limit. And then we visit the caves in the south of France, the high mountains. And for instance, with a little group, we went to the top of a mountain, and then I asked the people, please be in silence. If you go upstairs, try to say nothing. It takes a lot of energy, and it's better to hear what nature is telling to you. On the top of the mountain, I often tried to teach, not in the sense that it was prepared. So let it happen. It was a beautiful time that we were in circles sitting on the top of mountains. We listened to all the voices of the nature, because nature is speaking every day. Because we are so noisy, we lose every contact with the voices of nature. If you really listen to a tree, you hear his voice. If you really listen to the whispering of the leaves from a tree, you hear a message. It's not so strange that in the past people had oracles which were based on the leaves in the trees, because they could hear the language from the wind, like the Indian people say. The Indians often say, you Western people, you have lost everything because your cities are so noisy. You don't hear the voices of our streams. You cannot live in a city in which is no silence. So, 11 years we made little excursions. We visit grottos, caves. In that period, I gathered a lot of information about the history of the Cathares, a wonderful group of people who lived in the Ariège, the south of France, who had the ancient knowledge from the Essenes, from which the beautiful Master Jesus came out. Forbidden knowledge in the Roman Catholic Church, because if you have to know what he really was, that he was also a poet. If you read in the Essene Gospels, you meet a poet from the level of Rumi and Tabriz and other ones. No, we have crucified, for instance, Jesus twice by churches, organizations, and we have lost his poetical language. I rediscovered that in this period. Also the sources from the Essenes, they came on my way. I made studies from that. I saw the sharp and deep, profound relationship with the Cathares. We visited very profound, under the earth, caves, in which were initiations in the past. And I gathered a lot of information, spoke with people who had the living word from the history. So they say it from mouth to ear. And then suddenly, after the period of 11 years living there, I felt very strong. You have to go back to the Netherlands, to Belgium, for teaching more openly. Because it was also a little bit a flight to go to the mountains, but a beautiful flight. I took silence for myself. I took contemplation for myself. After such heavy years, it was necessary. But then I felt very strongly, you have to go back. Okay, we took the decision. We had an offer of a house in Belgium. We bought the house. And then we made an appointment with the movement from the house. You have to take a little take. What's the word in English?
We say the removal company.
The removal company. Okay, so we had made an appointment with the removal company, and I remember it very, very, very strong that he takes his agenda, and we asked, is it possible to move 9, 10 September, or 13 or 14 or 15. No, he said in French, que le 11 septembre, only 9/11. So I was not thinking about it. The day before, I looked at the stars. And exactly 9/11, we moved. And then something strange happened, because Marijke was driving, she always drives. And it was about 3 o'clock French time, quarter before 9 o'clock in New York, about, if I remember it good. We were driving, and I suddenly said, Marijke, can you change a little bit the wireless, the radio? Because I feel very, very strongly there is something happening with a very big impact. We heard the radio at the same moment, and we heard about the great attack on the Twin Towers. And I was completely diffused. Marijke said, you are so pale. And I knew, with the remembrance from New York, the Twin Towers. This is the point of a great revolution on the whole Earth, on the whole planet, even in our solar system. I had not the sources, I had not the information, but I had already the appointment of my first lectures with the title, The Big Revolution on Our Planet.
And if I can take the risk of interrupting this beautiful introduction that you're giving to your life and your work and your philosophy, that revolution was also a personal revolution for yourself, wasn't it? Because it sort of made the connection between yourself as a student of spiritual matters, to the fact that your Dharma was to take action on planet Earth with your feet on the ground. Is that correct? Would that be a fair summary?
Absolutely correct. Because in the past, I was more a person who contemplate, meditate, gave a lot of teachings in the absolutely consciousness that you yourself have to learn also every day. You must not make yourself bigger than you are. So you are a student and you teach. But I felt very strong after my journey, after my search to the cause of evil, that it was evil. I had the absolutely consciousness, this is manipulated. This is manipulated. What we see on the television some days later, and they repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. Why they repeat it? For put it down in your consciousness that you are anxious. It was the start of the war of terror. The war on terror I described in one of my books, Will We Awake? I never would have written a book like that if I didn't realize it's not a political war. It seems a political war because there were a lot of signs. The first terrorism, the first collapse of economical factors. But we don't realize that all we see outside is the projection of the inside, of consciousness, which is not totally awake. So then I suddenly understand what are the forces behind the scene. That's very strange. My first reaction was not angry, but compassion. I cannot say that it was every day. Sometimes I was not in harmony, that I thought how people can do this. It's so cruel, so gruesome. And you know more than most people is looking on the television and what the press is writing. It was also a second discovering that the media are manipulated enormous. And they know it. They know. They don't tell the truth. For me, it was the beginning for making steps to acting. Acting on a base from trying to be every day in what Gandhi calls ahimsa, non-violence. Because what I understand in my discovery in the secret lodges, like Skull and Bones, I read in the period from then the protocols. I read a lot about the hidden forces on the background behind the Council on Foreign Relations, the United Nations, the European community, and then suddenly you understand the whole plate. You understand everything. And then you understand on a deeper level that the forces behind the scenes are more deeper than people are thinking. It's a struggle from real evil forces against the light. You can find it in every tradition. If you take the Quran, you find something more about the devil. The devil is nothing more than the evil. Devil is the evil. You can find information in the Persian information, spirituality sources. Zoroaster has informed us about Ahriman, the force of evil, against Ormuzd, the force of light. You can find it in the sutras of the Buddha, when he talks about Mara, the bad spirit, which is a big force in the universe even. Of course, I had made studies also from the fallen angels, from Lucifer. And most people are thinking that's only a story. And churches are learning there were fallen angels. In that period I made studies from the clay tablets, in English translation. From the book of Enoch, that means in Hebraic language, the initiated one. Because he was not dying in the normal way. He was taken away from the earth in a way that you could say it seems like a spacecraft who has taken him away. And you can find a lot of sources in these hidden books, like the Jubilees, the hidden book of Noah, the book of Enoch, that in the past and also now there were a lot of contacts between extraterrestrial people and the earth. By the way, I feel very strongly that perhaps this year or next year the disclosure will be completely, that everyone is going to know what is the hidden history of the real extraterrestrial. Because Hollywood is manipulating that, science is manipulating that, they are mocking on you if you think about these things. But for me it was very clear that our history is also manipulated and enclosed by a lot of lies, which goes back to the history of the so-called fallen angels. For instance, if you take the book Enoch, you find back that in groups of 50 persons they landed on the mountain Hermon. You can find it also back in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the fallen angels. They are described as big, great people, sometimes giants, Nephilim in the Hebraic language, or Bene Gach Elohim, the sons of the gods. They were here on earth. Even in Genesis you can find some texts, church has manipulated that, put it out. You can find some sentences that in this time the giants were on earth and they interbreeded human being, the women's. So in my search to the evil, what's the background, why we don't know, I found very strong that our planet Earth is manipulated since thousands of years through people of another planet, and you can find it back in the mythology from every culture of the history of the Luciferians. If the history is saying that Lucifer tries to put higher his throne than the one, then the original text is speaking about his Merkaba, his light body, his radiation. That means in the universe there is a possibility, it's not obligate, it's a possibility that living beings, on which sort of level they are living, have the possibility to act against oneness. That's the beginning of separation. So if these evil forces, which in essence are unknowing, because if you really don't live in ignorance, but in knowing, in gnosis, you don't do that. So even these people who came here on earth have to learn a lot of things. But they had a strong longing to possess our planet, to possess the solar system. That's the Star Wars in the mythology. You can find it everywhere, a lot of traces. It's forbidden knowledge, because if you go understand, and you go understand the roots of evil, it's for a lot of people dangerous.
So Marcel, what's your understanding of how you connect this very big picture together here? Because a little earlier you were talking about the shock and the wake-up call that you had, and of course thousands of other people had on the morning of 9/11, and immediately after realizing that there was something badly wrong here. It wasn't the war on terror, it was the war against the citizens of the planet. And now you're talking about the ancient roots which have been recorded in many different cultures of visits from extraterrestrials. Many people refer to them as giants. Now, I don't want to put words into your mouth here, but how does this all fit together? What's the connection between those ancient times and the modern times? What is the secret knowledge, and what is it that what's the core of the lie that we're being told?
The secret knowledge is that most people on this beautiful planet doesn't know that they are manipulated in a very, very big sense, in every level of our society. And if I speak about the Giants or Nephilim, you can find also beautiful text in the texts of Nag Hammadi, where they have found beautiful text in the neighborhood of Cairo. Nag Hammadi, it means also the place of the wise serpents. Nagas means serpents. You have two sorts. You have the serpents, the reptilians, who are very evil, and you have the Nagas, the developed, higher educated people from other planets and love, who give wisdom, who learn compassion, who learn real civilization. So, for instance, there is a gospel from Philip in the text of Nag Hammadi, and there you find some rules, some sentences about the Archonte. And Archont means in Greek, Archontoi, the rulers, And you can find there back that the rulers are a very long time on our planet Earth, and that they tried and try to enslave the whole planet. So it means even in the old texts of Christian sources, forbidden knowledge of course, you can find about it a lot of information. How did they do it? And it was also a shock in me, because I recognized in that time everything. How did they do it? Okay, we have to understand that what we call the Nephilim, or Archontoi, or Giants, or in the Sumerian language Anunnaki, they who came from above to our earth. You can find it back on the clay tablet number 7, Enuma Elish. How did they do it? First of all, they interbreeded human being, they damaged the DNA code. That means that we are not in the possibility in our beautiful body to develop total consciousness in relationship to the consciousness of the universe and the love which we call God. So we were very slowly enslaved, and we thought that it is normal. If you make studies of this history, and we make a big jump to our time, after 9/11, you see very quickly the system of control, Patriot Act, biometrical passport, scanners, more satellites, homeland security, cooperation between secret services, a lot of things as data banks, DNA banks. And not everyone is comprehending what is the force behind it, like the sources of Nag Hammadi is describing, that these Archontoi, these Anunnaki, these serpents of evil, try to enslave the people here on the planet. So they use methods. The first of all is fear. Why? If you are in fear, everything in your harmonical system changes. We need our chakras, wheels of light. We need our system of hormones. For being in the just atmosphere in your body, you need a healthy system in your body. So fear is their most strongest weapon. And why? Most people don't know that these forces don't live only in physical sense. If they create, for instance, kinship, what is later kingship, the royalty blood, and the kings are the rulers in the name of the gods. They are the intermediary between the gods and what they call the serfs, the subjects. You have to know that this is another bloodline. If you're really a good king or queen, like the Emperor Ashoka in India, a famous emperor who had first killed a lot of people, and after that he realized, when he read the sources of Buddhism, what he has done. After that he threw away everything which was not human. He protected the animals, he protected the trees, he wanted peace in his country. But a lot of kings, please, I don't judge, I'm not against, because even the people who often do things which we think it's wrong or not good are always our brothers and sisters. You never know what we have done in lives before. We are not always holy persons. People like it to be a holy person, but you can only understand history of development of the matter and consciousness if you are honest to yourself. So they use the fear because in the invisible level they are also living what you can call the astral level. If one of them dies, they have methods, magical methods, ritual methods, that they arrive what the Tibetan people is calling an bardo, a special for them. They only can keep their power here on this planet. What I'm telling now is very important, because you don't read it in a lot of books. I've never read it. If they want to keep their power, they need some special juice. Which juice? Blood. If you read the book of Goethe, Faust, then there is a passage in Goethe's Faust that Faust has to sign a contract with the evil. And then he takes his feather and he wants to sign. Then the evil says, no, don't sign with your feather. You have to sign with blood. Why? Goethe was an initiated person. If Goethe is saying, auf Deutsch, Blut ist ein ganz besonderes Saft. That means in English, blood is a special juice. There is some force in it with these gods, which are not enough, need for keeping alive their subtle bodies. So they can longer rule, archontoi means rulers, in the invisible atmosphere, and they can take contacts in the secret lodges which have contacts with them. So if people ask how is it possible that there is such a lot of war, it was my question like a little boy, my journey, and I tell you only a little bit of my journey. I often couldn't sleep. Why there is evil? Why? Why we are not in love? Why we are not in compassion? And my discovery was that these evil forces eat, drink the negative forces from fear. So if you read the book from Homerus, the Odyssey, then you can read texts that some people have to offer to the gods with blood. So bloodlines means they have a special DNA and a special sort of blood, but in the measure of soul we are all the same. So why the Anunnaki came here, the Archontoi, the Nephilim, the Bene Chacherochim? We can say, okay, they have taken our planet. But then you forget one very important text in Nag Hammadi. I tell you what, I read it by accident this morning. I was a little bit writing for a new book and I took the source of Nag Hammadi, and then you find a little text. In the time that the Archontoi, the rulers, thought that they do the evil with their free will, it was Big Spirit who let it go for learning people. That's very important. If I play a game with children, perhaps we can have a lot of fun. But if we don't realize that it is a play, and we make an identification, even the evil forces who have to learn, and we have to learn, are in danger. So, at the one side, we are in a game, we are in a matrix, and a lot of power use fear, bomb attacks, economical crash, climate gate. It exists, of course. Climate is changing very, very quickly, and I feel very, very strong that most people is not prepared for the biggest changes in the whole evolution of human being, and that we have also to give attention to our brothers, the animals, the trees, because we always think I feel very strong that we have to realize stories like the parable of the lost son and lost daughter. For me it's a beautiful story. I've written it in one of my books, The Sower. This parable is not from 2000 years ago. It's our history. Because the story is saying very simply, we left our palace of light and love. So that means we came also down to this planet. We came here with an aim for learning, for exercise and compassion. Because most people think, okay, you are total consciousness, we are everything, that's right. as I can feel it a little bit after the experience. I told you a little bit, and I know what I told is not complete and not right, it's only words. But there is more. The knowledge we can understand on this beautiful planet, we can transform in wisdom. So it's also the discovery of God, and we are the hands and the eyes and the voices of this oneness, can learn in its own wisdom. That's very difficult for people to believe that and to understand. It seems some heresy, because we have a very dogmatical opinion about what is. For instance, if we take a beautiful text, what is called a logion in the Gospel of Thomas, the pupils are asking to the Master, please explain us what's the Father. And you have to know, if Christ is speaking about the Father, he speaks in the same time about the Mother. And then he says, the Father-Mother is rest and movement, silence and word. So, if the universe is in material form that's moving, that means matter. But the essence in matter, everywhere, without any exception, is always consciousness. So what we see is the body. What we are is consciousness. And in this beautiful creation, we can make the experience what is exactly separation. What does it mean? So if the parable of the lost son and the lost daughter is saying that we left our light palace, and Christ is saying we are light. You are light in light. And you can find it in every tradition of spirituality, everywhere. Then it means that if we descend to this planet, and we are a spiritual being, we are not descending from an ape. Persons who like to tell it, okay, take the conclusion for yourself, but not for me. If you want to believe that you are the descendant of an ape, it's for you, not for me. We are a spiritual being, and we got closest of matter. In the parable it means you loosed your light body. That's what the Tibetan people calls rainbow or diamantical body, or the Egyptian tradition Merkaba. And when you came on this earth, you started with eating other food, heavy food. The parable is speaking about swine food. That means no vitamin, no living food, dead food. And it changes everything in your body, your consciousness. So this little parable is saying you lose not only your possibility of the light body, you are heavier and heavier in matter. So if the Anunnaki forces understand this also, and they like to take us in slavery, they develop, with their money, systems for staying in matter, like nihilism, like Nietzscheism. The philosophy of Nietzsche is pure atheism and materialism, or communism, or absurdism. That means they play the game that we don't wake up. They know exactly how they can create philosophies, theories, like the protocols is saying. We let them believe in Darwinism and Nietzsche and communism. But if you are really in your consciousness, you know it's a big lie. If the story, the parable is saying you lost your treasure, that means in the Eastern tradition you lost your cities, your spiritual possibilities. We have internet, we have GSM, UMTS, satellites. But we have lost the possibility that we can see with the third eye through matter. So we trust our technical evolution, and they like it. They give you everything. They give you internet, they give you a GSM, they give you satellites, they give you technology, nanotechnology. It's not bad. It's not bad or good. And at this time, we have to use it perhaps also. But if you use it, do it in a conscious way. Because at this moment, for instance, you can reach a lot of people if you use internet in a good way. But use it in total consciousness. It's a temporal instrument. So the story says that time is coming that the lost son and daughter will awake. You can find the same story in the Eastern tradition. I told it to you this afternoon that I found this morning a beautiful story in the tradition of the Mandayas. The Mandayas is a group like the Essenes. And they speak about Mandahahai. And Mandahahai means God, inner knowledge, gnosis. And there you find the story that the prince leaves the Palace of Light, that he comes in matter, that he visits Egypt and other countries, that he changes his food, and he forgot his destiny, and he didn't remember what was your first question. What are you? Who are you? He was so profound in matter that he forget the question which the Father Mother has said. Okay, we take a time your light body. You can read it in this beautiful story. We take your light body. You go with a matter body and other subtle bodies, but you lose a little time your light body. For you have to be very profound in matter, in the situation of separation. You lose everything. It's memory. What is the Father, Mother, the King and the Queen in the palace doing? They sent an eagle, and in the back of the eagle is a letter. Of course, the eagle is big spirit. The letter, they are the messengers. A lot of messages, plenty of love are coming every time to our planet. The Buddhas, the Krishnas, Christ, the Mohammeds, other teachers. They come here for learning us in a system which is good at that time, but later you have to grow up and coming beyond every system of religion. Because, remember, you are a spiritual being, not a member of a group, not a Catholic, not a Hindu, not a Buddhist, not an Islamist. You are free, spiritual being. So the letter says, in the back of the eagle, please come home. Please come home. It's enough. It's enough. And then the story tells how the prince is coming awake. And then he received again his light body. And then he comes home, and the other brother, like the parable of the lost son, that is his real archetype, his real consciousness, is in total peace. What was the discovery? The movement of God. So we have rest and movement, silence and word. The movement of God, in which is total consciousness, is a little time separated and doesn't know who, what he is, but always there are signals in the beautiful universe to wake up, to call up. Please, wake up. I told you also this afternoon a little story I like very much from the Maya tradition. It's very popular at this moment, 2012. I think a lot of things they are telling are completely right. But people don't always understand what they really are saying. Because a lot of people are thinking 2012, that's the end of everything. No, that's wrong. The big changes, so biggest, and there are coming a lot of them. Please don't stand in fear. You have to comprehend, because the other forces try to bring fear. We have to comprehend that it is a normal cycle. And the Mayas, for instance, are learning that there is a strong energy coming now to the earth from the Pleiades, and we know with the scientific sources that is the photon belt. That's an energy so tremendous strong, you can even in the night, if you are on your bed and you are in total rest, you can feel this strong energy enormous in your body. This is changing our DNA, which is manipulated by the forces we called Anunnaki, Nephilim, Archontoi. This light, which is coming exactly when an old period has finished, and we are now in the passage of Pisces, the fish period to Aquarian period. That's about 26,000 years, and a lot of gates on the Earth, in the solar system, are going open. And they know it, the evil forces. They know that a lot of gates are going open now, and they know that 2012 is the point of changing, that we are in a total other constellation from our solar system to the heart, Hunab Ka, say the Mayan people, of our Milky Way. It's a changement enormous. I feel it very strong also in my body that every day more and more, every week more and more, the earth has started the big changes. Earthquakes more and more, extreme weather patterns, sometimes manipulated by the evil forces. But the most important is that in this period we have to cooperate. We have not to be in fear, because the evil forces are learning us also something. That if we are going in separation, then we are slaves. If we are going to cooperate, if we are going in our strengths and our spiritual strengths, that we can have compassion because they are also our brothers and sisters, that we can have forgiveness, that we even can try to be in love. How difficult it is, because sometimes very gruesome things are happening, very gruesome. They are offering every day so much of blood and wars and children and animals. For instance, if religions are killing animals for their gods, they don't know that there doesn't exist any God in the universe who likes that you kill, that you slaughter an animal for giving him blood. But there are Anunnaki forces who like the blood of animals. So all the great teachers learned, don't kill animals. And they did it for two reasons. They have right on their lives. And the second, they only said in a secret group who could understand, it's food, drinking for these forces. So the young boy who made the search, wherefore there is evil, discovered that it is a possibility in the universe, in the play of forces, and that evil only can exist if people is not awake. If people is in ignorance, if people don't know how invisible atmospheres are working in our material atmospheres. And if we understand that, then understand we also what the Maya people is saying, that 2012, that's the year of the return of Quetzalcoatl, that is their serpent god, who is having feathers. Some people are thinking, oh, that's an Anunnaki god, a reptilian. Perhaps. I think it's something else. In the alchemistical studies you can find a snake who bites in his own tail. And it means that we are not living in a linear time from the past, now and future. That's what modern science has learned us. But we are in a sort of matrix and a recycling system, a box, and every time if 4 great periods has finished, what the Hindu people calls yugas, and on a bigger level kalpas. You can find it in the Babylonian science from Berossos when he speaks about the big period of the universe. If it is finished, and now in our time it is nearly finished, that means a big period from 26,000 years and bigger has been finished. We are in the passage of Iron Time, the time of evil, the time of not knowing who and what you are, the time of slaughtering, the time of murdering, the time of loneliness, the time that there is not a good relationship between woman and man, the time that young people are becoming gangs or don't know what they have to do on our planet. There are sometimes so beautiful people here. I don't speak about the indigo children, which have a special task, but also the other young people. They want to do something, but they don't know, they cannot do it, and then they form, for instance, gangs. It's described in the old knowledge in India, what they call the Purana, the knowing of the ancient wise. So if we understand what the alchemical knowledge is meaning by the Ouroboros, it means things are repeating each other, not in the same measure. There's always some changement, not in the way like the President of America is telling that. Variables. At the end, you stay in the box if you don't rebirth. Because what people doesn't know, and I learned it very strongly also from Buddhism, we are the producers of mind energy. And as long as our mind is having as a base desire, we feed our desires. And the Buddha, for instance, is speaking, there will come a time that you stop with that. He calls that nirvana. That means it finished. The Cathars called it andura. That is an Occitan word and means you stop with it. Because you see the system of recycling, and what we call reincarnation is true. It exists, but it makes not free. So when I taught the time with the Tanka of the Buddhists, you see in the nucleus of the Tanka, the people recycling. A lot of people don't know that the people you see in the nucleus recycling in several conditions of consciousness is also the Buddha. So in the nucleus is also the Buddha, but in movement, in separation, in persons. The real Buddha is outside the Tanka, outside the cycle. That means our Buddha spirit, our cosmic consciousness, is the master of time and the master of space. And as long as we have desires to stay here on this planet, which is beautiful, but with desire, then we stay here. It's the gift from the universe. You like it? Even in suffering, sometimes people are in ignorance that they create new energy in their mind for a new rebirth. Therefore, the great teachers learned you have to take a second birth, and they don't mean reincarnation. For instance, Christ is saying, if you don't rebirth from water and fire, you shall not reach the kingdom of God. Everyone knew water, the stream, is inner knowledge. Fire is the spirit of the universe. So if we are going to change our behavior, if we are going to see that everyone is your brother and your sister, that even the thought they are evil and I'm good is a form of separation, then we can make the jump. It's not you who are doing that, but the jump can happening, that everything is okay. Everything. Does that mean that we don't have to act? No. You can live in the same time in two levels. The level you know and the level from suffering. There's such a lot of suffering. And what do you like? You like that it stops the suffering, the pain. So then you are going to act, but in a way that you are not attached to the fruits of your acts. You try that you are a vehicle, that the great energy, the spirit of fire, is working through you. You are in real essence a persona, Latin for per, through, sonare, it's tuning through. Now we have a very, very difficult time. But we never have to lose our hope. I can understand that some people lose their hope, because the pioneers which are here on our planet Earth have to do a tough job. Sometimes some of them are very tired, I can understand it. People don't know what they are doing, they are really heroes, not in personal sentence. But never, I say, lose your hope, because at the bottom of the box of Pandora is always the hope. And the return of the serpent with the feathers means that the new cycle will start with consciousness, who you are, what you are. And then we can make the step that it is really eternal in our consciousness. We can come out of the box. We see the matrix, we see the forces, we see what are the Anunnaki, the Nephilim, the Achontoi, and even we understand the beautiful text from the Nag Hammadi source. They think that they are the doers. That's tremendous. No. The spirit of love, let it go, for giving a very, very profound lesson. Now, I hope I'm clear in telling it, I don't know. No? Okay.
This is wonderful. Let me ask you a little bit about hope, because as we both know, in President Obama's pre-election propaganda, the word hope was very much used and abused as a way to sort of control people, that there was always going to be something tomorrow. It was never defined, it was never described. It was always, well, you know, okay, we're sorry we don't have any money, we're sorry that you've just lost your house, but there's hope there somewhere. And it kind of kept people on the hook. It was actually used as a control mechanism. Now that's not what you mean,
no,
is it?
No.
You mean something profoundly different.
Profound, yes.
And what I'd love you to talk to in this conclusion of this, in this conclusion of this video, is the revolution that you described, which you experienced personally following the events of 9/11, and the reasons for optimism, the waking up that you have witnessed, the very factors that are changing the planet, that are influencing these dramatic times that we're in the middle of here, are also waking people up. They're slapping people around the face, and it's a call to action for all the people who are here for a purpose. And many of those will be watching this video, watching many others as well. They're hungry to learn, they're hungry for information, they're hungry for a direction. They want to know what to do, and they want to know how to be. Is there a way that you can connect all this together in a way that gives people reason to believe that this game is not over?
I'll try. First of all, I'm glad that you interrupted by the theme of hope. Once I was very strongly touched by Krishnamurti. I had met him once, it was enough. And I remember in one of his books he says, you have to lose all your hope, because hope is future. Why he did it? For the reason you explained. That's the false reason. That's what religions are doing. That's what presidents are promising. They say, we are going to change everything. You have not to lose your hope. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that the base of universe, in my experience, is really truth, love, light, immortality, no beginning, no end. So if I use the word hope, I mean you cannot change the base of the universe. Even the Anunnaki, who means that they can change it, they can never change it. They can change situation a little bit, but they also are suffering. A lot of people is thinking that these milliardaires, now you have a new milliardaire in Mexico, Mr. Slim, and then you had Buffett and Bill Gates. This is all children play. To become a milliardaire is not realizing that you are an inner millionaire in spiritual sense. So you lose your soul. So what can we do when the world is now in such a dramatical situation? And I mean it with all my heart, with all my possibility for explaining it. We are in a very dangerous situation now. Because the forces behind have a strong agenda. If we respond this agenda, because we are knowing more and more how it is functioning, with aggression, or being angry, or without respect, we do the same. So we have to use the force and the possibilities we never used on our planet, because it was manipulated, it was forbidden, it was used and abused in songs, in literature, and people use it like I don't know what, but the word love is not a word, it's a force. It's the base of the universe. So what we can do is going to the inside, in the same time contemplating, meditating, and acting. Organize. Young people, I say often in Belgium, in the Netherlands and other countries, please organize yourself. Speak about the questions. Speak about your fear, your feelings. Tell each other. Make studies, make also meditation. Start you coming together with a beautiful piece of music, what you like, what's beautiful for you. Please, in harmony, start with that. Start with a beautiful text and speak about it. Organize yourself, because the biggest force on our planet is that we organize the deepest feeling human being is having, love. The most critical period now in our evolution is asking not to spoil the energy of oil outside and gas. No, it is to use the oil inside the lamp of our body. We are the virgins, the wise virgins, the wise souls. And the bridegroom, that means nothing other else than an enormous energy, is going through our solar system, is going through our earth, is touching every living being, also the persons who mean that they can rule, they are also touched. And I can tell you from the deepest of my heart, if you like it in the next years, 2.5 years, and then a biggest revolution has ended for a new possibility. If you like it to be in power, more richness, you are poor human being. So I look in the camera, and my message is also especially for them. I don't accuse, I don't judge. Please, if you hear this, look to yourself. Is this your destiny? Plundering the planet, taking away everything. The cause of hunger, the cause of weather changes. Is that your ultimate goal on the earth? I'm absolutely convinced there are forces, plenty of love, will change all these situations, not like a deus ex machina and is coming here, okay, we are cleaning it for you. We have first of all to clean the planet by our free acting. Never forget it. Never say, leave it to God. In our deepest bottom of our heart is the spark of God. So we have to do the job. And we never can resolve the biggest problems which are now on our planet. By violence, by aggression. We lose the struggle. We have to go beyond the struggle. We have to go beyond religion. We have to go beyond political systems. We have to go beyond social systems. And the most important for the young people, we have to go beyond our fear. Come together, meditate, pray in the way you want it, share your experience. Come together, international, national. The wake-up call is not for struggling with aggression, but for waking up in our consciousness, because consciousness is such a strong energy. It's the strongest energy in everything what is existing, in everything. So, back to the hope, because it is the base of life. Not in the sentence from tomorrow it's coming your happiness. No, happiness is just now possible if we are going to awake. We are not separated bodies. We are not descendants of the ape. We are not persons catched up in matter. All these crazy theories, if you are really having a little bit intelligence, you throw it away. You are dead. Dead in the sentence of Te Ha A Te, that means in Sanskrit language, you are consciousness, totally in love, in light. So at the end of our journey, and we are coming now in a situation of a certain end, all the factors of karmic patterns are coming together very quickly. In our individual life, in our family life, in our countries. You see it on the level of the leaders of the politics. How many leaders are really servants of the people? If you lead the people, you have to serve, like the word minister means servant. Everything, I feel it so strongly, will change the coming 2.5 years, that please, everyone who hears this, take the chance to change. Even the persons who think, I can grasp the planet. You even cannot grasp your body. You are not your body. You cannot keep your life. You are a particle, a beautiful particle in the wholeness body which we call universe, and through which is going every moment, day and night, in every cycle, the force of consciousness. So, what can we do? Go back to what we are. That was your first question. In my life it was a journey and is a journey. And I discovered a lot of things. And I decided to act. And at the same time to meditate. To write my books. To publish my books. With only one aim. You are always a vehicle. A messenger. So,
this is what your name means, isn't it? Am I right in understanding that?
a little bit yes, a little bit yes. Messing means in the alchemical language, he or she who is making relations between everything. That's the first meaning.
That's very
so
appropriate.
you make relations between everything what is. And sometimes people don't know what is in a name. A name is not nothing. If the stories from the creation is always telling that a name or a number is very important, you have also to stay a little moment in silence, what does mean your name. I will not say it's always valuable for every situation, for every person, but sometimes it's an agreement. So I feel I have to do. For me there's no other way. It's what the teacher in the forest said, you have to do your dharma. Then you feel every day, even if there are difficult moments, and they are, of course, you feel that you are protected, that love is taking you on your road, and that if I look to you, to other persons, I look to myself. To the self. If I hit you, or I threw a stone to another person, it's to myself. So please stop with all the walls in Israel. Stop with the wall in China. The old walls we had in Berlin. The new walls in Egypt. Walls means that we are in a separate situation. All the beauty of all the people, these varieties of colors and religions, are rays of the same sun.
Yeah. The invisible walls that we all have between us as people, which in many ways, despite our electronic age that we live in, they're actually stronger than they have been before. Many, many years ago, at the times of the Depression, when people were in real trouble, they helped each other. And I'm not so sure that people are so willing to reach out and help one another now, because we live in so much spiritual isolation and loneliness, even though we're connected electronically. There's a paradox here. And one of the things which I have been talking about, and I'm sure you will agree, is that we need to re-establish the idea of community. Community in the true sense of the word. Togetherness. Community as a human race. We're all here on Spaceship Earth. We have to take responsibility for all the people, all the animals, all the ecosystem that's been so destroyed, for everything that's not right. It's not suddenly going to be all over in 2 years' time.
No, absolutely not.
But what you're saying, if I'm understanding you right, is that we have a window of opportunity which is open still for us to reach a tipping point of capability between us to actually reclaim the situation as our own. And then after that, I would personally suggest that then there's going to be quite a long period of cleanup to be done, because we've made a mess of this place. And it's all got something to do with all of us. And that felt like a statement, but actually it was a question. I'm very interested to know your view on that.
I think I can agree with a lot of things you are saying. In the first place, the electronic world is only a surrogate. It's a virtual world. And therefore I said, you can use it, but if you use it, do it in consciousness. Because what is really important is what you say, the community in the real essence, that we can look in our eyes. I don't say I look in your eyes, We look in our eyes. So the cage from the electronical revolution is also having a bad effect on our body, on our subtle bodies. And they know it, of course, they know it. They try to throw us and to take us in the cage. You can only change that by being in the consciousness. I've not the idea that everyone is going to change in the next months and next years. That's impossible. And I feel also that nature is giving more chances to the people who cannot awake at this moment, because the snake is biting anew in their own tail. The people who can make themselves free, totally free. And perhaps, like the Buddhist tradition is saying, come back in another time like a little bodhisattva for helping. Like Padmasambhava with a lot of hands for helping. That means also, okay, 2012 is not the end. It's growing to what you call the tipping point. We have a lot of possibilities now. It will be sometimes dangerous, sometimes very intensive. Please try to stay in your rest and go with the movement, and at the same time act without acting. But I'm sure that the world after 2012, in that sentence I agree with the Mayas, will be changed enormous, enormous. All the people now in politics who are making their big business and big towers and big plans. Sorry, I have a smile for that. Because you think then that you are the architect. That's not right. That's not right. I didn't learn that in a church or in a synagogue or in a mosque. I learned it in my own consciousness, that the real architect you cannot find in a lodge from Freemasons or other esoterical tradition. The real architect, arche, tekte, means we are not the builders of the universe. We are the sprank, the drop in the ocean of consciousness. And if it melts together, that's the Namaste in the Eastern tradition, that means the duality is one, then you are the ocean. And you cannot say, as ego, I am the ocean. The ocean is there. So we are going to have a very important time, a time with a lot of surprises. I think a lot of things are going to happen. The possibility is there for a lot of people to awake. To awake to the truth, to awake to the question who and what we are, to awake that we all are brothers and sisters, that we cannot understand the creation without respect for the animals, the plants, the stones. Everything what is here in our planet is having a function. If you steal the oil, or if you take the gold, you don't realize that they have a meaning in the body of Mother Earth. But you cannot say he or she is the thief, because we all use that. Please don't make a wall, they are the bad, we are the good. We have to realize everything is interconnected. That's what Buddhist teachers learned to me. Paticca Samuppada. That means everything is having a consequence. I like to use the example that a little calf in a herd from, for instance, thousands of cows, every time find back the mother. So also the deeds find back the actor. What you sow, in that sentence you reap. Even the forces who think that they can rule the planet, never to forget that this order, and I don't speak about new world order, this order is the base of harmony in our universe. So what you sow, one day you are going to reap. And perhaps you think, oh, that can take a lot of times. It will come. So let us make exercise in more profounder things as compassion and forgiveness. Because we can help each other, and in that sentence also ourselves, if we can stay in the force of forgiveness. Because if we have not forgiveness, then the seed of karma will be the cause of a lot of new suffering. Only if we have really discovered the most profound bottom of why these things are happening, we are growing up in compassion, forgiveness, understanding. So that's a little bit not my message, but the message in what I feel the most important period of human evolution. Please stop with making your own big project. Listen to the voices of Mother Earth. Listen to the voices of our solar system. Look what is happening. Look what is happening with the sun. That he is changing enormous. Look to the planets, that they are changing enormous, that there is a revolution in our solar system. And what are the most people doing? Making new projects. Oh, that's totally crazy. Stop it. Listen. It's not too late. It's never too late. It's too late if you don't understand what I mean by never. Then the gates closed. Like you can read in the hidden gospel of Maria from Magdalena. She was one of the most wise women. She was made to a whore by the churches, but she was a high educated, initiated woman. And in one of the scriptures from her, the Pistis Sophia, you find a beautiful text. Please, in the end time, because that's the time that everything in karmic pattern will going to come to an end, go through the gate of light, because you never know when the gate will be closed. Take the chance. It's an adventure, a big possibility for stopping suffering.
Marcel Messing, thank you so much. These are wonderful words. We're going to get this transcribed and translated. Many more people in the English language and in many other languages need to hear what it is that you have learned through your life. And I know that you're a vessel. This learning has been coming through you. You're a spokesperson for the truth, and you stand in that function with thousands of other people who are all communicating as much as they can the truth that they feel they are understanding. This is becoming clearer to us all every day. And thank you so much for your part in that. You're playing a very, very important role.
I only can say thank you, my brother.